Throughout the year, Corrie viewers have been gripped by the story of the vicious attack on Seb and Nina, which was based on a tragic real-life event in 2007. Last week on Coronation Street, we saw the main perpetrator of the attack, Corrie Brent, walk free. And today I'm joined by the actor behind him, Maximus Evans. Max, thank you for joining me today.
Hello, it's been a long time coming, this, hasn't it?
It has. Max and I have been talking, it's like May, June maybe, we first got in touch. Just trying to find the right time to do this.
Absolutely, but it's definitely the right time, especially after Friday's episode.
I think so, yeah. Walk free. Did you always know that he'd be found guilty while Kelly would be sent down?
Not really. It was kind of new news to me, to be honest. It was only a couple of months ago where I found out that he was going to kind of get away with it after the court case. But yeah, I just did not think it'd come to this ever. Especially those first 2 days I did all them years ago, 2 years ago.
I know. It's been so long, hasn't it? It's been 2 years plus since you started in the show.
Yeah.
So why do you think Coronation Street's decided to go down the route of Kelly being kept sent down and Corrie walking free?
I think one thing that Corrie's always done well, I think, is, and people say it's like dragging out a storyline, but I just think it's fulfilling it, really, and it's filling in the space that needs to be filled. I just think it adds that, especially for Corrie, that extra layer to his kind of character development. And Kelly's a character that I think we can all see that, she's a brilliant addition to the show. And we're currently in a stage of her kind of having her redemption arc. And I think her going down for the murder will definitely favour the future of what she's like on the show, to be honest. So I feel like it's worked pretty well.
Yeah, I agree. I think so. So how are you enjoying playing Corrie's latest villain? Have you been attacked by any old ladies' handbags or anything yet while you're walking down the street?
But the thing is, everybody went on as if I couldn't go to Tesco or Subway or anything like this. I was expecting, honestly, to get in a lot of bother on the street. But I've literally not had one experience, and that's God's honest truth. No one has been horrible to me, to face. You know what I mean? Because people are so, they're obviously, everybody hides behind their phones. They can say whatever, but in the street, everybody's always sound with me. But yeah, I've had a couple of times when I'm out in the pub and stuff, and people are screaming murderer. And then I kind of get a few looks, and people are obviously more of an EastEnders fans. And it's just it gets me a bit on edge, to be honest, but it's all right. I don't mind.
That's good. Because Corrie's a really, nasty, smug piece of work, isn't he? Are we going to be seeing even more of this, tenfold now he's been freed?
Yeah, I just think Corrie himself knows that he is in the wrong, right? This is a thing, because we, as the audience, now know the truth. So he's almost lived up now to this villain that he's kind of created from himself, and because his past, I was thinking the other day, his past with Asher now seems so distant.
It does, yeah.
Back in the days where even when kind of near the attack, when we moved into Nick and Leanne's flat, that feels like months ago now. Now it's all just about himself, and I think his dad as well. What we've seen with Stefan has been great, I think. And I think Paul is just doing so good at that, filling in that villainous space that we're trying to fill. And he's great, Paul, actually. He's pretty
well, we've started to see some of Corrie's smug, cocky attitude slip a little bit during the trial. Do you think it was because he knew do you think he was worried about getting sent down, or is it more that he's feeling some kind of remorse for what he's done?
I think because he's still a kid, he's obviously vulnerable, and he's going to react, I think, at some points exactly how you'd expect, a child to react. It's the worst situation anybody could wish for. And I think when we see him break down in court, I think a lot of people have associated that with crocodile tears, which is very true, because he knew he had to, get to the point of convincing the jury. But there was also, I think, a little side of no, he is so vulnerable and he's still a kid, and they're obviously trying to push that. And Stefan's obviously pulling out all the stops, and he's obviously helping that, which has been great to see.
Yeah, we also had that scene on the flashback episode a couple of weeks ago where Corrie was looking at himself in the mirror. What do you think he was thinking? What was going through his head during that scene?
Well, I think, to be honest, actually, and this is the God's honest truth, that the way in which the camera moved in that scene was very technical to do. So it did actually take a lot of takes, because we had to be in the reflection of the mirror first, and then I put my head down, and then the mirror moves, and then the camera comes around, and then I'm supposed to look look into the barrel.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to do when you go from your head being down and looking up, and I've got to like pretend as if I'm looking at myself. It was really hard to do that scene. So I actually think it worked, because there was that little bit of frustration in me anyway. But he was obviously fighting his demons. That was kind of what we were trying to. It's the realization of what he's done.
Yeah.
And, when he sees the blood, and I feel like a lot of people have picked up on like the blood and stuff. So it's a shocking thing to see. It's like, it's knowing that I could have done something bad here. You know, I've ruined my future. You know, everything's gone through his head.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like he was reacting in a whole range of different ways on the night of the attack, because afterwards we see him sitting there with Asher on the sofa, and he's just, you know, watching TV, having a laugh. It's like, how's he able to switch off? And
he's just got to convince people around him, and he's just a con artist. You know, when he said "I love you" to Asher, I feel like that line, like, I knew that wasn't sincere, and he's almost saying it. That's in a way Corey's almost apology, because these things, oh, here we go, this is what she's going to know now, and it's all going to explode. So I feel like that it was no sincerity in what he says to Asher. Obviously, Nina's tried to take him down as well, and he's almost in a way kind of like defeated all of these people that have defeated, hypothetically, trying to, you know, take him down. And that just leaves question, like, what's Abby going to do now? You know, what is she going to do? Because at this moment in time, it's almost as if the audience as well, is interesting to see how they reacted, because I feel like a lot of people were quite annoyed a little bit, to be honest, because I get let off. But I've seen a lot of comments of people talking about like Sophie Lancaster and the association, how it's like, I saw one comment about how it's not doing, you know, justice for Seb, and also the effects that it could have on the Sophie Lancaster like message that we're trying to put out. But you know, the truth is that this isn't. It's based off a true story, but we've got to take it places where we take the audience off guard. Otherwise, we know what's going to come. And I feel like the work that Corrie's done with the Sophie Lancaster Foundation has been amazing, and Sylvia's such a like inspirational woman.
I think you can still pay tribute to Sophie Lancaster without making Corrie stories and a carbon copy of it.
Exactly.
Have you had any feedback from them about how these episodes have gone down?
I've actually not heard of anything from the most recent episodes, but when obviously the attack came out, was it last Monday? Yeah, I think it was last Monday. I know that she was praising obviously the episode and what he was doing, but I feel like in May we already kind of laid the groundwork with what we were doing with the story, with that initial attack that we obviously couldn't film because, well, we couldn't be close together. But it worked really well. I feel like the flashbacks, like as an actor watching that episode, and like how much effort everybody put in, and then seeing it's a great episode. And I know that obviously Sylvia, I'm sure, enjoyed it as well. I think on Twitter it's great because you can see them comments of
that scene in the flashback episode. I loved it, where it was like panning from Nina and then along the street to the ring, and then see you kicking living daylights out of Seb. What was it like filming that?
Right, so Abe Dukes is one of the best directors I've worked with on the show. I think he's brilliant. He speaks to us, before the scenes, which I like, and we're always asking questions. And me and Millie were like having a good time, obviously, because we were all in bubbles, like Millie, Harry, and Molly, and it was just great to be able to have that intensity. And as soon as that scene finished and we knew it was going to be in slow-mo, we all rushed to the monitors. And I don't usually do that. Like, I really try and stay away from watching any of it until it's out, because I start to analyze it. But we had to watch it, and we were all there. And I was stood next to Harry, and I just said to him, "Mate, this is like the best ending that you could have wished for." You know what I mean? Because it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
It was a brilliant scene. Were you worried at all that you might accidentally hurt somebody? Because you've been quite rough with Millie. You had to be, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. We had to be. But there were, the crew are brilliant, and the fight coordinators that they bring into the show are really delicate with the work. I think with Millie, she's great because we both understood that we had to, have that physical intensity to, portray our message, what we're trying to do. And it was really technically devised, and nobody was hurt. And I kept asking Millie, obviously, whether she was okay, and then she was just saying, "No, do it further. You know, let's take it another step," which is great. You know what I mean? As an actor, that's great because we're just bouncing off. You know.
Yeah. So what do you think was the main motivator for Corey, and what happened that night? Was he just trying to show off, show what a big man he was, or was there an element of jealousy surrounding Nina and Asher's, like Imran suggested in court? Why did he do it?
So for me, he's definitely afflicted with his relationship with Nina. You know, the fact that Asher at some point in time was with Nina, and Corey's always viewed Asher as this kind of like goddess, pure, young girl who's beautiful. And the thought to him that another person has been with her, and especially like for Corey, the fact that the lesbians, because I do think Corey's definitely misogynistic. He's a bully. He's everything that's wrong with society crammed into one teenage lad. But we've it's his conflict towards Nina, really, and I feel like Seb was in the way in his mind, and he would have if it wasn't such a harsh beating, and he didn't like it because he did like doing it, and we saw that he did enjoy kicking the living daylights out of him, because this is almost like, I'm not going to go and kick a girl, maybe in his mind, but when he was doing it to Seb, it was like, but you're in such close relation to Nina, this is what you get for messing around with me, because he is that bully, and it's pretty horrible.
Yeah. Also a bit of a coward as well, and how he reacted afterwards, running off, leaving Kelly to face the music.
Yeah, that's it. I mean,
we got to see those great scenes where you went into the alley, changing your clothes, dumping them in the canal. What was all that like to film?
Yeah, that was really good to film. Actually, though, at the time, which I can say it now, but I didn't really want to say it on like the days of the episodes. I actually had a bit of like a leg injury, like a real like leg injury from like spraining my my ankle. So it's actually really hard to film, like doing all those running bits. So like that whole night, like my main concern was like my leg, because it really hurt. But it worked because I've just like kicked a guy, and it was raining, and it was just perfect, the tone of them scenes. And obviously, like I said, with Abe, it's like, it's great to work with him because he talks to you so much.
Yeah, it's very atmospheric. Even like you had those scenes with the CCTV as well, didn't you? Where you're crossing over the road and everything. I thought that episode, it's so well done.
Yeah, I was very excited to see it, I have to say. And I don't really watch the show as much as I should, to be honest, because I just can't watch myself. It's so hard. It's so hard to do. I've watched all the court stuff, but every time I watch it, I'm always leaving like really displeased with it. And like, that's just how it is. I don't know why, but
yeah. So since the attack in May, we've seen Corey's dad, Stefan, kind of splashing the cash, getting his crack legal team, bribing people and everything. Convincing Tommy Orpington to say something in court. Do you think he believes in his son's innocence or not?
I feel like at this point it's pretty obvious that even Stefan knows Corey did it. I feel like the whole world, knows that Corey did it. The judge, I think Owen did a brilliant job as the judge, because you could see that like frustration that they have, but we have the evidence, so I should say, to back it up. But because he's bribed them off, it like I said, it just adds that extra layer of like corruption that like is a great play in the story, because it's highlighting that difference in class, especially with Abby and Stefan. I thought their scene as well the other day with that Sally and Paul did. I saw that yesterday actually, where she came into his office and unplugged his phone and stuff. I feel like it's great because you could see on Paul's face, I know my son did it. Yeah. But if you think for a second, I'm gonna let my son go down, it's not going to happen. And he's pulling out all the stops because he has to. It's family. It's his reputation as well. His son is a murderer. It'd ruin his career. What about Sabine, though? Because, I mean, is she corrupt as well? Does she know that she's defending somebody who's a murderer? Yeah, from what I'm getting, from what I'm seeing from Sabine anyway, and especially with the scenes I've seen recently with her and Charlie, it's her job. And I feel like Zora's doing a great job to, show that she does know as well. Like I said, everybody knows that Corey's guilty, but she knows she can win this case, and it's good for her kind of, record of like the job. And I think with Imran, it's quite tragic, to be honest, because he doesn't have the best track record, does he, of cases. And I actually listened to a bit of your podcast the other day that you did with Charlie, and I heard him say well. It is funny, but and he also does so many cases in different he does like marriage and then murders. It's great.
Yeah. Oh, and he's working so hard, doesn't he, Imran? All for nothing.
Yeah, literally, it was crazy. The amount of like monologues that Charlie and Zora had to do. It was I felt so bad for them because we were all in this like boiling hot court for 3 weeks. Well, Charlie actually only showed up on the second week, but we were there for 3 weeks and it was so hot. So like, you know, learning those big chunks, like, because realistically we would be getting home late and then have to come in and do another 8 scenes the next day. So we would be like kind of all chilling together, going through lines and stuff. And it was just such a nice atmosphere, to be honest, the court scenes, which made it so much easier because we were all so relaxed. You know what I mean?
So, although, I mean, at the time of recording, Corey's walking free at the moment, but he's going to get soap justice at the end, isn't he? What do you think he deserves? Death or prison or something else? Redemption?
This is the thing. I feel like everybody assumes that every villain dies, you know, especially in soaps, because we have seen that. We've seen it with, you know, recently Jeff.
Yeah.
We've seen it with Pat Phelan, who is just, in my opinion, the best villain that the show has ever had.
Yes, agree, totally.
Spectacular ending, but I have always stood by that I would love. Okay, if I could finish the storyline here, this is what I'd do. Right? I'd have the storyline that Will Mellor's doing with Harvey, and that gang story kind of finish at the same time. And I always had in my head that if they simultaneously finish, they could have a last scene of Harvey in a cell, and his cellmate is Corrie. So we know that Corey's going to have a really hard time in prison, and then we're getting that satisfaction knowing that he's going to be like, you know, walking around holding somebody's pocket. You know what I mean? But yeah, but that's how I've always wanted to end it. But you know, I don't think that's going to happen.
It is. It's true. The soap villains do always tend to end up 6 feet under.
Yeah.
Or their ashes scattered in a dog poo bin, like has happened to Phelan this past week.
Oh yeah, that's been crazy. That's been so good though. I love the George and Eileen stuff. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So what about Kelly then? Because another debate that's been raging among the fans is like, what should happen to her? Because although she wasn't the one doing the kicking, she's also not completely innocent in it as well. I mean, what do you think? What kind of justice do you think she should have faced?
Well, like I said before, it's great for the storyline. Obviously, Kelly shouldn't have gone down for it, and she does deserve redemption, I think. I feel like it's, you know, if Kelly's this character that is going to stay around for years to come, we're going to need to see some sort of redemption. Yeah. And I can see it. I can see, like, Kelly absolutely trying to fit back in with the street, you know, if she gets out, and depending on what happens with Corrie. It'll be tough, I think, for the audience. It's like Corrie could never have, you know, come back and be, you know, liked again by anybody. There's no redemption there. So that's why I said before, it'd be interesting actually if they brought the character back years and years and years and years in the future. Maybe like if they do that with Kelly, it could be interesting. Yeah. You know, that'd be good.
Yeah, definitely. So let's scroll back a little bit, because we talked earlier about the fact that you've been on the show for over 2 years now, haven't you? It's crazy. Yeah. How much of Corrie's trajectory did you know in those early days, or did you just literally come on for that, you know, that one-off scene?
Yeah, literally 2 episodes. Just as Ash's date. Well, actually, it was originally Amy Barlow's date.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that little episode of Asher. And then they offered me kind of like just the like a 6 month for the kind of sexing storyline. And then after that, I remember Ian McLeod calling me and obviously offering me this opportunity that's brought this storyline. And then by that point, it's been 2 years, and it's just kind of like happened. Like I've not really been like aware of how quick it's come around, but it's been. It's a great place to work, and I won't forget it. Yeah.
So what did auditioning for the part involve when you first started?
Yeah. So I've auditioned for Corrie so many times before.
Yeah, I've heard you went for Seb, didn't you?
Yeah, I went for Seb like years ago. I had a screen test, but it went awful. Like it was a really bad screen test. I was like really like not prepared, but I was also really young at the time. Yeah. No excuses. Harry definitely deserved it. And I came in and just did one audition, but no screen test because, like I said, it was literally just 2 episodes. So I just came in and read some lines, and I thought I was too old because I knew he had to be like a high schooler, and I am tall. You know, I've been like 6'1" for years now, and I feel like it does look a bit ridiculous. And I remember like there was a scene years ago where me and Asher were at like a Bugsy Malone rehearsal.
Oh yeah.
And like everybody around me was like really small, and then I'm just stuck there, and I was like, "Well, that just looks ridiculous." So it's been great. It's good.
Did you say that you'd watched much of Corrie before auditioning?
Yeah.
Your family, yeah.
Yeah, I was really familiar with the show. I obviously knew of all of the big events that's happened. Like I remember, like when I was on Facebook, I remember when Pat Phelan died, and like I'd share it. I'd be like, "This is like really good stuff." Like with soaps, because obviously it's tough for younger people, I think, to come and watch the show because the timing that it's on, and not many people realistically these days watch TV.
No,
not as many like my age anyway.
Broadcast live TV now.
Yeah, and streaming services. Obviously, it's like it's tough to bring in that audience. But this storyline's a good example of something that is definitely bringing in that new wave of audience, and we need it because the show is changing, just like culture is changing, and it's so different to what it was like 40, 50, 60 years ago. It's amazing, really. It's amazing that they've gone so long producing some great stuff.
Yeah, and Corrie's got a really strong young cast at the moment, I think. I mean, obviously you is Tanisha, Millie, Adam Hussein as well, El Mulvaney. There's a lot of great actors there that are hopefully going to get more of the young viewers in and keep Corrie going.
Yeah, no, they're all brilliant, and like Adam is a good example of somebody who, like, I feel like he is now completely comfortable with like Addy. You know, he's so funny. I feel like
he's amazing. I love him. He's fantastic.
Him and Jimmy, like the way that they bounce off each other in them scenes is like, because Jimmy I think is hilarious, and he's Jimmy is like one of the funniest guys I've ever met, and he definitely shows that in Dev. Like I really think that he's not like, he isn't Dev, but he has that some of the idiosyncrasies that Dev has. So it's really funny to see. I think those like the Kiwi, that scene, that was bloody funny as well. It was all funny.
So had you played many villains before, Corrie? Is that kind of your thing?
No, not really. I've done a little bit of theatre. I've done like the Edinburgh Fringe and stuff before this. And so I did like Dick Barton, which was like a comedy. So I played this like really heightened like Scotsman, and that's like completely different, like Corrie and stuff. But no, to be honest, like other than this, I played like a little drug dealer on the Bay, and like, but he wasn't really the villain. Nor was he really that relevant. It was like, so realistically, yeah, he's probably my first villain role that I've done.
Yeah. Do you find it easy to slip into character? Because I mean, you're a nice guy in real life, aren't you? Is it hard to to drop that and then get into character, or can you just
it's like it's tough because we go from literally like me and Tanisha, like obviously like really get on. We have like a really funny time on set and stuff. It's great. And then we have to then switch up, and I have to be completely dead serious and be really going in on Asher. But actually, I find that because we're so relaxed and the set, like with the crew especially, they're brilliant. Like they allow like the actors almost to take the time. Like it's brilliant. It really is, and it's pretty easy to do because I feel like the intentions are already there, and also the character. Like I've been doing it for 2 years. I know the character quite well now, so it's quite easy to just slip into, all right, this is what I need to do. And what I want and what my mark is and stuff. Really after time, it gets easier.
Yeah. And what about, after a really intense shoot, because Corrie's had to do and say some really horrendous things. How do you kind of wind down after that?
I go to the pub. I go back home to Cheadle Hume, and then I go to the pub with my mates. But it's like I need that complete separation from anything Corrie related, to be honest. Like that's why I find it hard when we do like a day shooting, and then I come home and it's on at 7:30. I really just kind of want to wind down and keep work at work in a way. But yeah, I do love a good pint.
So I think with the way that Corrie's gone, when we spoke earlier about the fact that there's probably not going to be a redemption for him. So the character's got some kind of shelf life. What are some of your ambitions for the future as an actor?
I love theatre, and I always have, and I'd really love to get back into theatre after you know, Corrie and stuff. And yeah, to be honest, I'm kind of just going with the flow at the minute. And Corrie's been, I wouldn't say like a stepping stone, because I've not seen it as that at all. It's almost been a foundation in a way. Like it's taught me a lot. Like, and it's my first proper professional gig, really. So I'm still in early days, and obviously it'll take a couple of years for people to separate me from Corrie. Like, that's just because it's my face, you know, on that character, and it's hard for people to look past that. But yeah, I'm actually planning on doing more training. So I'm actually going to go do a couple like courses and stuff, and maybe get my degree. So
brilliant. You said that Corrie's taught you a lot. What are some of the lessons that you take away from your time on the show?
Whew. I remember on like the early days of Corrie, I would really stress about the scripts, and I'd overthink it because I knew, like, I always like assumed that the worst will happen if I don't know the lines. And realistically, like, I find picking up lines now so much easier, kind of not there and then particularly, but like a bit, if you just kind of like pick it up now and again, and like, then realistically, because it's so lax the set, you can take your time, and you get there eventually, you know, and it's no stress, because I quite like to focus on the emotion rather than the text the majority of the time, because then you're kind of not thinking about what you're going to say. But yeah, I just feel like how quick it is, and how like the turnovers are so quick, and it's amazing because they're producing like, what is it, 5 episodes a week or whatever it is. It's amazing. It's so quick. It's so quick.
Yeah. I also wondered, just before we go as well, so sometimes when I speak to the actors, they kind of have the head canon for what's going on with their character, and they create a bit of a backstory for them. And you said that you felt that you've got to know the Corrie, the character of Corrie even better and better over the last few years. So is there anything that you've kind of made up in for Corrie's backstory that you think has made him act the way that he does?
There's imbalance there somewhere. He struggles to hide his emotions. I've always been intrigued to the relationship that he has with his dad, and I've always assumed that he does have a mother. You know, I've seen people comment like, "Where's his mum in all of this?" You know, he does have a mum, and she's just kind of like not trying to get as involved because it's such a high-profile case. Like, but I see it as, maybe like, I think he had a lot of conflict with Stefan at a young age and stuff, but because Stefan pushed him so far and like to do the best, and that's why football has always been his outlet. And I feel like that pressure from his dad would have definitely been kind of a catalyst to all of the negative things that he's done to other people, because Stefan's got such a stern way of doing things. I think that's why he's so successful, because, you know, he only cares for like himself, and I bet he was the exact same as Corrie at a young age. And Paul, I remember when he came in, I remember him saying like, I've pictured like I would have been exactly like you, and like you're role model. That's why you're such a horrible lad. And it's so true. Like, he's just like a mini version of Stefan, I think, because the success is there, but the attitude is just absolutely dire.
Yeah, definitely. That's great. Well, listen, it's been lovely speaking to you today, Max. I don't think I'd ever seen any interviews with you before, so it's great to get to know, you know, a little bit more what you like in real life.
Oh, cheers! Yeah. No, thank you. I've enjoyed it. It's been good.
Yeah, great. Well, I can't wait to see what happens next. We had a couple of big shocks at the end of Friday's episode, so I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for you, and
sure will be interesting.
What's going to be your fate?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, right. Bye then.
Bye. See you later.